But then other things that don't mean a whole lot, or we haven't put a whole bunch of pressure, we can be more playful. We can engage. We can actually be curious because like our identity isn't on the line and we don't have any ego in it or whatever.
What is your goal? What are you trying to get people to do, you know, with this content that you're making? Because that's the goal, right? You're not just putting it out there for the sake of putting it out there or for your own ego. You're putting it out to call people to a certain action. Same thing we learned like in giving speeches. The whole purpose is moving people, right? And
how did things progress with like recording YouTube content, and like how did that whole process go? Because I think I saw some of your YouTube stuff and I was like, oh, this is sick. Like it seemed like you had like a good flow going. I like the graphics, I like your energy and stuff like that. I didn't like see too many of them, but when I did, I was like,
thanks. Yeah, I mean, I have not posted a video in over a year, so it went like I got into the flow of things, and I posted a handful of videos, and the fifth one got like 10,000 views or something within a very short amount of time, like within the first couple of days of me posting it. And so I was like, yay, I won YouTube, you know, and then never posted again. So that's how that went.
I mean, that is kind of a mic drop. Just be like, mission accomplished, I'm good. Now on to other things. I know I can do it if I need to.
There's definitely a formula to it. So
what did you learn? Like, because I think I'm gonna want to start recording stuff soon and publishing, and I've just never done that. Not even a single one on YouTube. Maybe I like recorded a meetup that I was hosting or something, and it was like presentations and stuff. But any tips for a beginner here?
Yeah, this is getting posted, so you have no choice. But no, I mean, I'm also a beginner, but I basically just watched a bunch of YouTube videos on how to post YouTube videos. And the it's like it is in that video you just sent me, the book. Guy's name again?
The Running Lean guy.
Yes, Running Lean.
Yeah, him.
Yes. So that guy talks about you create something that people want. And so rather than you make it whatever you want and then you post it and try and fit it into what others want, you just make what they want. So basically what you do is go in to YouTube and search, what are people searching? What are people looking for? What are the thumbnails that they click on? What are the titles that catch their eye? And then you do the thumbnail first. At least that's what the advice was a year ago.
Oh,
so yeah, that way if you have the thumbnail, you have the title of the video, and then the very first words that you speak are the title of the video, so that when people click on it, they don't feel misled, right? They click on it and then you say your first sentence and you're like, oh, that's exactly what the title was. Okay, I'm where I'm supposed to be. And then, you know, say something validating, like why you are who you are, why you're saying that, and then off to the races.
Okay, yeah, now that you say that, I'm like, oh, that is how many of the videos that I ended up clicking on, like, that's exactly how they start. Like, you're in the right place. But before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about why I have some credibility, and then they jump in and show some value. Okay.
So I studied a lot of, like, Mr. Beast and those guys, but those guys have teams of people who just focus on the thumbnail. So they'll spend ton of money, ton of time just crafting that thumbnail, because once they get you to click, you're going to watch for a little bit, at least a little bit, but they have to get you to click. And so if the video is about some random thing that no one cares about, then no one's going to click on it. But what I noticed is, at least in my space, which was like financial type, you know, personal development type stuff, people are all posting the same thing. So there happened to be one title. I haven't done this video, but what I noticed is everyone just follows what, you know, the people before them did. So there was one title and it was called Look Poor. And so it's talking about how to, you know, basically don't overspend, don't go buying Gucci handbags, you know, instead buy assets that'll, you know, increase your total net worth or income or whatever, right? But the goal is you don't have to look like, you know, Louis Vuitton head to toe. You could just look like sweatpants and still be a millionaire, billionaire, whatever. And so the headline is Look Poor. And when you go into YouTube, there's like 4 or 5 people who capitalized on that, and everyone has 10,000 plus views. So when you see a trend like that, then you just copy it, basically.
Yeah. I'm aware of some feelings here. So like on one hand, on one hand, like I'm hearing that and it feels like, oh yeah, that would work. That would be like step 1, 2, 3, that would work. On the other hand, there's part of me, I think part of either my creative process or maybe like I identify too much with my creative process or identify too much with my own ideas,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm like, oh, if I'm doing something that someone else did, then I don't feel as good about it. I've got to do something like 100% unique and innovative. And it is kind of counterproductive. It's almost like a self-sabotagey way of approaching it. Like, oh no, I'm only going to do things if it's like, if I get to feel unique and special for doing it. And it's like, no,
Well,
but other people are already figuring out how to do it. So I'm wondering if you like kind of ran into any of these feelings or like what your maybe practical take is on it.
nah, you'll get to your unique, creativity in the 10-second mark. You just have to do that first part to get people to click on it. So the rest of the video is about you.
I like it. There it
Say
is.
whatever you
Yeah.
want, do whatever you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. The hook
Like
is
this video,
formulaic, but
right?
the content is authentic. Yeah.
Yeah, so this video, we're just shooting the shit. And then at the end of it, see, this is backwards because we are not creating, the video concept first, the title
Right.
first, and the headline first. We're just going to do the content. And
Yeah.
then out of what we talk about, there might be something that has like a hook, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that hook will become the title. You know what I mean?
There we go. Yeah.
And everything else, just whatever we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
But there has
Yeah.
to be something that draws people in to make them click, and then something that once they click, they know they're where they're supposed to be, and it hooks. And then, you get past that first 10 seconds, and then
I'm trying to imagine what that would feel like and how that would feel differently than like, let's say in one scenario, I'm super pleased with myself because I created something, even if it was all alone. And I'm like, yeah, look at this shiny, amazing thing that I created that no one will see. So there's like some pride and there's some good feeling there. In this other sense, I create something and it's useful to people and it gets feedback. And, like it actually it's actually out there and kind of living in the world. And I feel like that's a different type of satisfaction and like a different pride that comes with that second one. So yeah, maybe that'll be, I think that's going to be one of the takeaways of this is like, if I've never experienced that, I'd like to experience that. And maybe I'll get hooked up and kind of invert my approach a little bit. Yeah.
yeah. So what's your content?
Probably like implementation of inner work stuff. Like that's something that fascinates me. Like a lot of people doing inner work. And I think I'd love to, this is something that I want to create. But I think I'd like to balance this and see what are people actually searching for? What do people actually want to hear? But yeah, I'd love to explore how people are implementing their inner work and how they go from like all the theory that they learn in books and their coaching programs and their therapy sessions and stuff to actually putting that into play in their life. And so I could see me talking about it. I could also see myself interviewing people from a kind of a curious, friendly, simple-minded buffoon kind of angle, and just be like, tell me all of, what has worked for you. I know nothing. And interview a bunch of people and make some content based on that. Yeah.
Okay, so based on what you said, I just went on YouTube and then I typed in inner work. And so the ones that are coming up, I mean, there's females and there's males. So for the females, it's like fall in love with yourself, things like that. But there are men who are doing the same thing. And it's like, you know what a common headline is? Stop doing inner work. Stop doing inner work and do this instead. And I'm sure they're still talking about inner work, but there's something about that title, Stop
Like
Doing Inner Work.
Yeah.
That makes people who are interested in inner work want to click on it. And then, draw them in. And after that, talk about, your creative perspective about that. Because there's something like, here's some of the titles. This is how you heal. This will change your life. There's a lot of change your life stuff in here. And how to transform. Discover yourself at any age, unleash your creativity.
So some of them are challenges to your existing thing, like stop doing this. Some of them are promises, like kind of like speaking your dream for you into like, become better than you are or achieve your thing.
Yeah. And the other thing is like once you put in your your titles and all of that, you can try them out for a couple days, and if they don't hit, change the title, change the category. Because
Really?
that's what I did with the older videos. I went back and I shifted them. I even updated some of the thumbnails. Like, okay, that one didn't work. Let me
Oh,
try
I didn't know you could do
something
that.
else.
Okay.
And then you get like a fresh chance at it. Same video,
Yeah.
just different headline, you know?
This is interesting. This is making it way more approachable because like it went from every variable has to be uniquely created, blah, 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 to like, actually I can do something kind of small, like just, follow something like a recipe. And that's the only way that I successfully cook. So that can be the way that I successfully cook up some content. Yeah.
Yeah, this is from the person who hasn't posted a video in over a year, but
Well, that's another step. Yeah. That's a whole other step.
yeah.
What got you to post the first one? What got you to post the first one? Yeah.
What got me to post the first one? It's probably a challenge from you or something.
Mm.
I would guess. We
That
probably
sounds
bet
about
each
right.
other something.
Yeah. Something like that.
You know how reality hits of, wow, so much time has passed and I haven't done this thing that I said that I was going to do.
Yeah.
I started talking about posting YouTube videos back before YouTube was what it is now, which is overly saturated, a million content creators in every single subcategory and just like unlimited information. Basically, people use it like Google. And if it's not on there, it's weird. But before that, there used to be like pre Miss Rachel and, all these other, Miss Rachel,
Yeah. I've never
okay.
seen her content, but I've seen her mentioned online. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, just now, so Miss Rachel makes like videos for little kids, but now in that space, there's so many. I mean, there's like the Black Miss Rachel, the Korean Miss Rachel, the male Miss Rachel. There's like just Miss Rachel in other languages and not like actually Miss Rachel, but you know what I mean? People kind of copying that and saying, okay, I see that this had success and I'm going to follow along with it. So anyway, prior to all that saturation, I think I was saying, I don't even remember what year that was, but it had to have been like 10, 15 years ago. I'm like, I'm going to make videos. And I remember telling one of my mentors that, and he's like, about what? And I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. And he's like had no faith in it, just didn't care. And I got a little deterred and was like, yeah, you're right. Who would care? Who would want to watch? And I had this kind of vague idea, which was like 3-minute whatever. So it was like, all the videos on YouTube are too long. I'm going to make a shorter video. And so it's going to be all these things I'm curious about, but it'll just be 3 minutes explaining like how this works. And for example, this is so random, but there was always construction happening downtown. And at the construction site on the cranes, they would hang an American flag. And I'm like, why do they do that? I'm going to do a research project on why they do that and explain it in 3 minutes, in a YouTube video. And just it was like Toastmasters, right? You go up and you do your little table topics or you do your little 4 to 6 minute speech on something. It's on any topic. I remember giving a speech on recycling. I gave a speech on how getting drunk affects the brain. I gave a speech on real estate. It's like anything.
I remember you gave a speech on like not holding your phone with your pinky because it messes up
my gosh.
your I don't know, your whole hand thing. And I'm like, I still kind of do it. And I'm like, oh man, Romy told me years ago and now I got a scraggly old pinky over here.
That's so funny. Yeah, I do that too. And I remember speeches other people gave and like these random topics that none of us are experts in. So it just seemed like, okay, well, this is cool. I think people would watch 3 minutes of this and do that. But anyway, never followed through on it. 10 years later, don't have any videos posted. And so then it was like when you and I had that conversation, I'm like, it doesn't matter. I could have made videos about anything. And at that stage, I would have been, like YouTube, whatever, royalty by now, but I didn't. And so here I am, like trying to be extra creative and all that other, like the value add value. That
reminds me, like, I mean, I don't know how often you've experienced this. I think you have, but all right, we set up our plans in our mind and we're like, this is going to be a big plan. Like, this is going to be a good plan. It's good for me. But then we load it up with pressure. We like kind of pressure ourselves to do a good job at it. And then that ends up, have you seen this? Like, it ends up making it so significant that it becomes difficult to make any forward progress. Cause like, I got to get it right. I got to get it right.
Of course.
Like now this thing is meaning. But then other things that don't mean a whole lot, or we haven't put a whole bunch of pressure, we can be more playful. We can engage. We can actually be curious because like our identity isn't on the line and we don't have any ego in it or whatever.
As you're saying that, the first thing that comes to mind is, you know, how obsessed I am with Abraham Hicks. But I mean, she always talks about that, you know, resistance and ease and flow on the other hand. And so when something is, you have a resistance to it and you make it this huge thing and you get in your own way, then it makes it harder to get there versus when something's very easy. So she's always saying, start with the easy thing first. So if you need to go in and solve a big, hairy problem, start by petting your dog. Feel good first. Just get yourself into like an easy mood, you know, that kind of thing.
I realized that I kind of relied on pressure in order to motivate myself. So I would try to make something really intense, like, oh, this is such a big deal. We got to do a good job. And it was almost like, I would try to use the argument that this is important, so do a good job. That feels almost like a short-term tactic. Like it can get me to stay up extra late and finish a project, or work really intensely to finish a project or to prepare for something. But over the long term, especially for my own creative drives and those things that I'm trying to grow within myself, it feels more coercive. Like the pressure ends up paralyzing me more than it does liberating me. And I look back to all the things that I was able to like organically develop within myself. Like I was into computers since I was a little kid. I didn't have pressure around that. I was just fascinated with them, and I would tinker, and I didn't need to get anything right. I would just be like, what would happen if I did this? What about this? And tried to spend as much time as I could in that space. And it was really fulfilling because there was no pressure. I'll contrast that to two other things I've had some difficulty with, and are the current kind of frontiers of my creative life are, let's say, writing and design. And I think I've read so many cool old books by the best authors ever. And so that's what I see as good writing. So when I sit down to write, I can journal and stuff like that, but I put a lot of pressure on myself. Like, okay, this has to be amazing and all this other stuff. So I end up getting a little bit stopped up. A friend of mine called it creatively constipated. I was like, okay, that's accurate. But and the other one is also design. Like I've gotten in design and I love it. I don't have like a whole lot of natural talent in it. I was not an art kid. I was very much a math and tech geek. But it fascinates me. But because my taste is way up here and I love good design, when I start with an empty page or start sketching and I just look at kind of what I'm producing, I put a lot of pressure on myself to get it right the first time. And so one thing I noticed is like people who are, let's say, experts at something, or they have a lot of experience, I think they understand that the process is not one giant step. Like the more expert you are in something, the more you understand that like it's okay to mess around at the beginning. Like the beginning is the beginning, and the middle is the middle, and the end is the end. And like the polished final product is way later. And they kind of have a comfort with playing around in the early messy stages. Whereas newbies think they have to get it right the first time or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of where it's shown up in my creative process and where I end up putting a lot of pressure on myself. And so I'm curious, like how to jump out of that and how to jolt out of that. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, it'd be awesome if someone made an inner work video about how to get out of that creative constipation. Maybe that's what you can make a video about.
Okay. All right. I feel...
See, and then someone will, you know, who identifies with that will click on it and say, you know what, I feel creatively constipated. That's the title of your video, you know, and then they're like, what's that? And they click on it. And then the first words you say are, you know, this is how I got, you know, out of resistance and into the ease and flow.
Endless opportunities for toilet humor in there too. So it's going to be great. It's going to be a great host. The algorithm's going to love it. That's interesting. It's kind of funny.
Creative ideas just running out of me. What'd you say?
Just flowing. Yeah, exactly. There are very few other places in life where we get to do like mini little research projects for fun.
I know.
It doesn't have to be like your whole job is on the line if this goes poorly. Like it can just be a fun little research project. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You reminded me of a conversation I had with this real estate investor a few years ago. prior to ChatGPT being on everyone's phone. And he was talking about writing a book. And he was kind of bragging that this AI was going to write the book for him. So all he had to do was think up a couple of topics, and then the AI was going to generate the chapters and it was going to fill in the outline, and then it was going to write out. And I'm like, wait, so you're not writing the book?
Yeah.
Is how I saw it. It was just like, wait, that's not even really being an author. But you know who has a book for sale on Amazon now? And like in the meantime, I'm just like, oh, okay. So I can have all these thoughts and whatever else, but in the meantime, he's generating income from a book he wrote, can put his name on, and sell. And you can't, I mean, you can argue with the quality or whatever if you read the book and all that, oh, this sounds like all this other AI. But if you really know how to use AI, you can make it so that you're creating new ideas and new thoughts and really being a thought leader in a certain category, and just using AI to help expand on that. So yeah, you're right. It takes away a little bit of that artistry, but it's part of being an artist is being prolific, right? Is being a creator and actually getting something out there. And so that kind of, it takes me back to that link you sent me about the running lean, where it's like, you have to get to the market. The product has to be out there, or else what's the point? I have all these ideas running around in my mind forever. And by the time I get there, I Google it and I see it's for sale on Amazon already.
At some point read a book called How to Write a Book in 21 Days. Great hook, old book, but great hook for a book. And I was like, okay, now I got to read this. And it had an interesting like kind of premise. It was like, all right, step one, research phase that takes more than 21 days. Go read the 5 best books on the topic, take notes, and kind of like take an outline of how they, like, as you read the book, kind of take notes on what points they're making in what order. So you have kind of like an outline. And then it had this novel approach to, instead of taking notes like in sentence form, take notes in question form. So let's say there's a paragraph discussing, step one of, getting out of creative constipation. And they say, blah, 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 like they describe what creative constipation is. Instead of like taking a note, like kind of summarizing the content, you take a note as to what question they answered. So in paragraph 1, they discussed, what is creative constipation itself? In paragraph 2, they discussed, where does it show up in life? And so you basically have an outline of questions. And then basically from these 5 best books on the topic, you have an outline of questions of all of them. You kind of remix it into an order. And then instead of copying someone else's content, you end up answering a lot of the same questions that those other books end up answering. And then you just have an outline of, let's say, I don't know, like 1,000 questions. And you kind of rearrange it. And then you set a timer for each one, and you set like a 2-minute timer. And you say, for each one of these questions, I'm just going to type nonstop for 2 minutes. And you do it in like little snippets when you're at the bank or you're on your phone or something like that. And over time, he like did the math, and he's like, okay, in 21 days, you could like write a 195 page, 12 chapter kind of thing. And I was like, that actually sounds interesting. I kind of want to go through that process. I don't know if it works, but it seems like a good approach.
Like it would work. And it seems like these days you could do it in less than 21 days. I mean, I love this idea. And I think today with ChatGPT, you could just, I know we talked about how it kind of like diminishes intelligence and all of that if you overuse it. But I think there's something to getting the ideas out. On the process you just said, the first 5 books that you read, or the best 5 books that you read on the topic, then you get a summary and draw out your questions. Okay, so that can be done in one little prompt to ChatGPT. Yeah. What are the top 50 books on this topic? And what are the questions, in question form, tell me what are, these topics that are hit, and then it'll generate them for you. And then you just flow on that. Because if you create just like the same, cookie cutter book that everyone else did, no one's going to read it anyway. It doesn't matter, how quickly or whatever else it got out to market. It still has to be quality content. Yeah. And so that's what's coming out of your brain at the bank while you're typing and all of that, like, is your own creative juices flowing. But getting the structure and then the research and all the stuff that's in the way before the actual creative juices start flowing. I feel like that's what is getting so simplified now, and that's why there's so much content.
I wonder what else besides the structure and the research. What are some of the other ways that you've found AI to be helpful and not completely doing the work for you and completely turning your brain off?
I mean, it can't, because it's not perfect. So,
Sure.
I mean, so for instance, in the last couple of weeks, I've been working on developing a website for the product that I'm building, and the website content, I want for it to follow a certain structure. I mean, I'm sure you've noticed right now there's all these funnels, right, on these websites that sell products. And you click on the ad from Instagram or wherever else, it leads you to this website. You put in your email address or whatever, you get the free ebook, or you scroll through a million pages of narrative, and each section has a little buy now, little click call to action button. You know what I mean? Like there's a formula, right?
Yeah.
So if I just go into ChatGPT, this is what I try to do. Go into ChatGPT, give it a link that I liked, and I'm like, okay, make my website like that one. It gave me some crap. Okay. So that needed to be refined and refined and refined. And that process got me to a good product. It's still not perfect. But it's because I had a vision in my mind of what the result was supposed to look like. So ChatGPT helped me get there faster, because who knows how long I would have dilly-dallied, without the assistant doing it for me.
Right.
But because that made it, then all I have to do is read it. And then now I have this website content, and that was enough to give to the developer. And that's what he's working on, is putting it in. So now I have a placeholder that isn't just Ipsa, whatever.
Lorem ipsum, yeah. Lorem ipsum, yeah. The dreaded lorem. Yeah. I made a website, but it's just full of lorem ipsum for 3 months. Yeah. What do they call that? The cold start problem, or like the blank page problem. Like it's so intimidating to have the blank page. But once you have something, you can have an opinion on it. You can revise it. You can like kind of reflect on that. Yeah.
That's right. Another thing is on the like on YouTube pages, for sure. If you go back and look at some of your favorite content creators' content when they first started, it's a lot different than it is now, because it's just getting started and then it gets better and better. But when you go back and look at the old stuff, it's at least they have the old stuff, and now they've been YouTubing for 10 years,
Yeah.
Instead of perfecting for 10 years and then getting that first video out, which is what I did, was like obsess and obsess for 10 years. And then finally put a video out, which was about construction. And then I'm like, I don't want to make construction videos.
Okay, now I'm getting content for my creative constipation video.
Yeah, see?
It's like, now here's an idea. Like, all right, if you're stuck, it's probably because the scope has exploded. You think it has to be all these things, or it has to be perfect, or the quality, or the kind of length, or the depth, or something like that has gotten too big it's become unapproachable. So it's like, maybe a challenge might be to specifically say, these are the 1 or 2 things I want to do. I want to post a video. It needs to be 30 seconds to 3 minutes on this specific topic. So then those are the things you want to do. But then here's a list of things that I specifically forbid myself from doing. Not just don't want to, but I forbid myself from spending more than this amount of time editing, or like doing these other things that I might kind of get, that I might go down a rabbit hole in. And that might actually be kind of like a challenge to, I don't know, finish the whole thing in 3 hours, or, post it by Tuesday, or some of these challenges to limit the constraint and actually deliver something.
Yeah. And then a lot of it is like the purpose too. I mean, I've been thinking about this because when I first, got interested in YouTube a long time ago, there was not this much content out. And so everything was a little bit novel, right? But now when I want to make a video, it's like, oh, I don't know. If this has been said before, I don't really need to make a video, because someone has already answered that question, But if it hasn't been said in this way, or it doesn't hit this, target market in the way that I think I would relate to this target market, or basically some element is different, or it's more concise, it's cleaner, it's shorter, it's only 3 minutes instead of 30 minutes, that kind of thing. If there's no improvement on it, what's my purpose. Because now, I mean, YouTube is not just like for YouTube. Everyone's like leading you somewhere else to purchase something or, buy their services or their course or whatever else.
It's so effective too. Like I can't possibly watch 3 high quality videos from the same creator that are just add a ton of value to my life. And if they say I have a course, I'm like, well, I am now a customer. Like I was not planning. It's a Tuesday morning. Like I didn't plan on wanting to buy a $400 course, but now I'm completely sold and it just completely works.
Yeah, I went down this path earlier this year with I think, did I tell you I was working with a Tony Robbins coach for like a really short amount of time?
I think you mentioned
before
it,
I got this current project manager. But basically she was like, are you going to have a course for this product that you're selling? Because there should also be a course sold. And I was like, no, courses are so played out. Everyone has a course. And at this point, I'm just tired of seeing it at the end of everyone's marketing is like, buy my course. And then in the week, like the Thursday to Thursday, when I talked to her the next time, I had purchased a course. I was researching courses on making courses.
Yep.
Like it's so effective. Like you're saying, it really hits. They are in the price range where you're like, I mean, it's not the end of the world.
It's higher than just a smattering of content spread out there on the internet. Oh, you can teach yourself anything on the internet. Sure, if I want to structure it and wade through all the noise, but it's like kind of curated beginning to end, like can guarantee some results. It's got some credibility. It's got some testimonials and stuff like that. Maybe a money back guarantee. Like that's great. And maybe even like a little community. They throw in a chat room in there and all of a sudden you've got buddies. You've got some accountability people. And so like that's totally worth it because
and they're on everything, like every topic ever. I noticed a couple this week that I rolled my eyes, but then I found myself thinking about them like a couple days later. And there was a one course on
because I would love to hear. Gotta need to share like
one was like, oh, do you have too many videos on your cell phone? And I'm like, yeah, I have a bunch of videos on my cell phone. And it's like, what are you going to do with all those clips?
What are you going to do? Yeah.
I'm like, this is a great question. This is like a real problem.
Yeah.
So it's like teaching you how to make quality, I think teaching you how to make quality home movies, but they left just enough of a question in there for me that I'm like, well, maybe there's something unique or maybe there's an approach that's not just, because what could they possibly be saying? Like save it into a file format like this and then edit it right away. And then, make sure all the videos that are on this topic, like I have a bunch of videos walking through apartment units, but I also have a lot of videos of the baby, like doing developmental milestone type things. And so I would love to make a video that's like the baby's struggling right now to roll. And then that evolves over the course of the year, and then it evolves to him walking or something, right? So I have to start a folder now where I upload from my phone and put it all in there. Okay, what is this course going to teach me, or give me access to that will help me find a shortcut to being able to do this? And then they show you the end result, which is like these super professional quality looking videos. And I'm like, well, how could this, am I just going to have to spend the $200 and figure out like, it's so dumb. Like when I first saw it, I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever.
I love it too, because it teases out. I was enjoying listening to your thought process because you're like, you want to reverse engineer it. You're like, wait, hold on, I can figure this out. But there are some giant question marks. You're like, shit, what do they know? Because there are people whose whole job it is to manage like just tens of thousands of hours of footage, like reality TV show video editors. That is a crazy job. But like figuring it out and making the perfect sizzle reel for the perfect thing. So they probably have some tips and like some ways of approaching it. So it's a course that almost got me. Oh, one of them was like kind of adding design. Like if you're making a mobile app, it's pretty easy to make a mobile app nowadays, but they all look boring and lame because they're made by AI or made by some engineer that doesn't know design. And so someone had a bunch of videos on like how to add small, subtle elements to really like bring up the level of design in your mobile app. And of course, they've got a course, or like an ebook and a larger community package and a course and stuff like that. And so I had to go get the ebook. I don't know if I told you about this, but I'm in like a shadow work course.
Yes,
it's like a group coaching thing, and that was amazing. That's a YouTuber that I discovered like at the beginning of pandemic, like explaining different aspects of Carl Jung, like shadow work stuff. and her content was so great. And then I saw that she had a group coaching plan, and I was like, okay, this is perfect. And it's pretty niche. It's like shadow work for self-sabotage. And I was like, there we go. Let me get out my own way. And it's been pretty amazing. So I'm glad she decided to make a course, and it was just very niche, and it's been really valuable. Yeah.
Yeah, you hit some of those trigger words for people and you're like, self-sabotage, I self-sabotage. Okay, I need this course, And then the ebook, that get me on the email list, and then you get the emails. I don't know how many a week I'm getting, because I wanted the ebook on these developmental milestones, or I'm trying to think of the most recent one I signed up for. Oh, it was like this. This is so dumb. They're all so stupid. But so, the product I'm creating is like that succession story where you can speak to future generations after you're gone. So there are a couple of products out there with similar vibes, and it's like a life book, or you create some sort of collection of memoirs, right? So that future generations can see it. But so as I look at, the space that I'm entering, I'm signed up on all these lists. And so now I feel like, they always, hi, Romy, whatever, they like address you personally, like, oh, I just wanted to mention this person wanted me to reach out. And it's like, I know this is like automatically generated email, but I just feel so touched.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then at the end of it, they try and sell you the course. Or today only, it's $97 if you buy it right
it's
now.
It's a special day. I don't know if you know this. Yeah.
Yeah.
The middle
so
of
then
a
there's
Wednesday. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, they're not dumb, obviously, because they're sticking with me. But it's like, why am I on so many email lists for these things that people were productive enough and executing enough to be able to launch and get out there? And they're in my inbox, and I'm considering typing in my credit card information, and I have on several of them. So obviously others can do the same thing.
We need like a poster instead of like move fast and break things. It's like, move fast and just build dumb stuff. It's okay. It's okay.
Anything.
Let's build something dumb that works.
Yeah. How many dumb things are out there, and someone doesn't think they're dumb. Or are we dumbing down our entire society by thinking that way? We're like, well,
no, it's useful. I mean, if I want to buy, if it's helping me, maybe the kind of underappreciated skill, maybe the high leverage skill these days is marketing.
I mean, I love it. Ever since I saw What Women Want with Mel Gibson, I was like, I should be an advertising agent. You remember that movie?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Okay, all right.
Mel Gibson started being able to read women's minds, and he was an ad executive for women's products.
Okay. That
so
does sound
really
amazing. Yeah.
It was so good. It was a long time ago, but I think everyone, if you've seen the movie, then you're like, oh, I want that job. And I think right now, from what you're saying, there's definitely a skill set in marketing without it feeling like marketing. Because if I'm like spooling reels and going through all these YouTube shorts and all this stuff, I can tell when it's a marketing video and when it's not. It used to not feel like that, but now I'm like, oh, I'm getting targeted. This is an ad. Even if it starts out looking natural and they use the bad lighting and the moving camera and the selfie and all that, you can still tell that it's being put out by LA Bank, or Target or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's that not knowing that you're getting marketed to thing. So it feels a little bit more natural. That is definitely a skill set, because anyone can make an ad these days.
Yeah.
Or stand in front of a whiteboard and do the stuff, lead to the course, But yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on marketing?
I think I got to binge a lot of audiobooks back in the day. I had a long commute to LA, and so I just like got to binge a bunch of books on marketing, and it opened my eyes to the fact that I think of it almost like a puzzle. It's like what's actually going to work, what's actually going to hit, what tools do you have available, finding an audience that kind of connecting what you're making with what people actually want is a pretty valuable skill. So yeah, I don't know. I'm interested in building that up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like that is the connector, because like you said, everyone has the content or has the capacity to make the content.
Right.
So that's kind of, I think what my mentor was saying all those years ago, what is it? What is your goal? What are you trying to get people to do, with this content that you're making? Because that's the goal, right? You're not just putting it out there for the sake of putting it out there or for your own ego. You're putting it out to call people to a certain action. Same thing we learned like in giving speeches. The whole purpose is moving people, right? And so marketing is the connector between you found the group and now you're leading them to the promised land. And there's that thing that you have to say or feeling that you have to give in order to get them to move from here to here. And I've been moved so many times. Obviously, I've been marketed to really well, to buy the products that I buy and use the services that I use and get on all these lists and download all these ebooks because the marketing is good. They're speaking to me. They hit me on an emotional level. And I mean, there's definitely something to learn from that. Otherwise, how will you ever get your ideas out there or your product out there? Someone has to buy into it.
For some people, it's easy to make an object. It's easy to like kind of whittle away at an object or work in a laboratory on a thing and like just deal with an object. But humans are more messy. So like when your job is to relate something to humans, there's so much more emotion in there. There's the possibility of rejection. There's the possibility of all this stuff. And so like people might shy away from, that's why public speaking is difficult. That's why going out and selling stuff is difficult. That's why putting our creative stuff out there for other people's feedback is difficult. And that difficulty is kind of like the barrier that keeps a lot of people out. And so I think the ability to market, the willingness to go out there and like engage with it and try over and over again to get good at it and to stay in it even when you suck for a while or when kind of like feedback is coming back negative. I think it's like a pretty high barrier to entry. So for the people who do learn that skill, it becomes that much more valuable. Does that make sense? Like, yeah.
Yeah. And the people who are naturally good at that. I mean, there are definitely, I think that's even better. You could have a conversation with someone and market something. You marketed me directly to that running lean book, right? By the time you sent me the link, I had already looked it up myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you pitched it to me at a time when I was emotionally receptive to hear it. You said it in a way that was really convincing and persuasive. And then, I was on the path, and then you said all the right trigger words, and then I was looking it up. So that's marketing.
I think I was thinking more about sales and like kind of public speaking and stuff like that. But actually, I think you went to the heart of it more, like, which was speaking the right thing to the right person at the right time. And like making that connection to someone who already has a need for it.
And that's one person to one person, right? But if you were standing in front of a room full of people like me who were looking for that particular guidance at that particular time, maybe you convince 60% of us to do that action, the whole run to the back of the room thing. I don't know how many.
I've been to at least one of those.
Yeah.
At least one of those events where it's like, oh, are we all doing this now? Okay.
Same. At least one. I've been to at least one.
At least one, yeah.
And I've run to the back of the room at least once.
Oh, yeah. We should wrap up.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts? Any closing observations? Something like that before we?
Yeah. Closing observations. I think that we both read a lot of books. Maybe we can talk about a particular book or two next time. I don't want to like book club this thing, but I kind of do.
Why not? I mean, this is the entire reason why I have an apartment. Like the bed is secondary. It's mostly to store my books.
Mostly books. The bed is actually a pile of books with a mat.
Yeah, exactly. I turn over a page and tuck myself in. That's what happens.
Yeah. So book club type thing, that kind of comes to mind. What about you?
Maybe we can do a little bit of show your work also. Like a little look what I made.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while since we got to go to class projects and be like, look at what I made, like show and tell style. So maybe a little bit of that. Yeah.
From the last time I spoke with you, because you like to end conversations with an action item, but I did do that action item. I did go straight to ChatGPT and say, write a narrative.
Wait, yeah.
I was
What
like,
was
I'm
the
going to
action
write a
item?
story. And then I went,
Oh, nice. Nice.